Welcome to Storyflix. In this video, we will explain Yowamushi Pedal. This film tells the story of a high school student who struggles to win a bicycle racing competition. Instead of joining the anime club that he wants at first, he joins a bicycle group. In fact, he was chosen to be one of his school's representatives in a bicycle racing competition. How did his struggle end in the cycling competition? Let's find out in Yowamushi Pedal. Yowamushi Pedal tells a story of a male high school student named Onoda Sakamichi, who is on his way to high school in Chiba Prefecture. That morning Onoda carried out his daily routine by going to school using an ordinary bicycle from his home in Akihabara. The distance between Onoda's house and his school is quite far. Even some steep inclines are difficult for ordinary bicycles to pass. However, Onoda is used to going through this route on his regular bicycle because he feels that going to school by bicycle will be much more economical, therefore, he can use his pocket money to buy his favorite anime. Onoda always enjoys his trip to school while listening to his favorite anime music. He is interested in anime, and he even purposely entered this school to take anime research extracurriculars. That day Onoda was very excited because he got a flyer about anime research extracurricular at his school. Unfortunately, the school suspended the extracurricular class because the number of applicants was very small. The extracurricular class will be held again if at least there are 5 students members. Knowing this, Onoda looked disappointed and sad. In addition, Onoda still doesn't have a single friend at school. When Onoda read the announcement regarding the suspension of extra classes, a female student named Kanzaki approached him. Kanzaki looked surprised at Onoda because he departed from his house in Akihabara to school using only an ordinary bicycle. The next day, a male student named Imizumi arrives on a racing bicycle. Imizumi is a cyclist who joins the cycling club at his school. Imizumi once represented his school in an inter-high school cycling competition and won second place. Imizumi is a very ambitious person, and he is still training hard to win first place in the cycling race the following season. In addition, Imizumi is a popular student at his school because of his handsome face and athletic ability. That day Imizumi was climbing a steep incline with his racing bicycle. Even though Imizumi has become a racing cyclist, he still finds it difficult to climb the steep incline. Suddenly Onoda appeared with his regular bicycle up the incline and managed to overtake Imizumi's position. Imizumi was speechless seeing this, then he looked surprised and confused to see Onoda, who could pass the steep incline using only an ordinary bicycle. When Onoda arrives at school, he intends to find friends with whom he can join the anime research club. Onoda desperately wants the anime club to revive so he can express his love for anime. When Onoda was trying to find participants in the anime club, Imizumi came up to him and invited him to compete in a bicycle race on the incline to their school. At first, Onoda was hesitant and wanted to refuse Imizumi's offer, but after he said that he would join the anime club if he lost, Onoda changed his mind and agreed to the offer. Kanzaki, who overheard Imizumi and Onoda going to a bicycle race, was excited to see the match. Kanzaki is actually the daughter of a bicycle shop entrepreneur, so she is very interested in everything related to cycling competitions. Kanzaki had previously seen Onoda's potential, and she suggested he join the bicycle racing club at their school. On the following day, Onoda and Imizumi's cycling match begins. The path of the cycling race this time was determined by Kanzaki, and she would serve as a timer for this match. Since the bicycle used by Onoda was an ordinary bicycle, he was allowed to start 15 minutes earlier than Imizumi. When the match started, Onoda immediately pedaled his bicycle with enthusiasm. After 15 minutes had passed, Imizumi immediately pedaled his racing bicycle at high speed to catch up with Onoda's position. In a short time, Imizumi caught up with Onoda's position and overtook his position. When the two of them arrived at the incline, Onoda was quite far behind while Imizumi continued to go full speed. Onoda still didn't give up and kept trying to increase his speed. Moreover, Kanzaki kept on cheering Onoda from behind. After a fairly fierce match, Imizumi won the bicycle race, and Onoda had to accept his loss. After Onoda reached the finish line, he immediately fell limp because he had never had experience in cycling. Kanzaki looks happy and amazed by Onoda's hard work, so she purposely helps Onoda by modifying Onoda's bicycle by adding a gear that can increase Onoda's bicycle speed. A few days later, Onoda was parking his bicycle in a mall parking lot. There is a teenage boy named Naruko who comes to Onoda. Naruko was interested in Onoda's bicycle modification, which looks simple but powerful. It turns out that Naruko was a cyclist at his junior high school. On the other hand, Imizumi came to the bicycle repair shop in Kazaki's father's shop to replace parts of his racing bicycle. By chance, Kanzaki was on duty guarding the shop, so they were talking to each other. Through that conversation, Imizumi knew that the person who had modified Onoda's bicycle was Kanzaki. Imizumi begins to realize that Onoda really has potential as a cyclist. When Onoda was leaving school the next day, he saw a group of cyclists training on an incline near the school. Among the athletes, Onoda saw Imizumi, who was in the back row. Seeing a group of cycling athletes who look cool and energetic, Onoda feels challenged to be able to join the cycling club at their school. At the same time, Onoda accidentally sees Naruko, who is wearing the same uniform as his school uniform. Then Onoda realizes that they attend the same school. That morning, Onoda and Naruko cycle together on a special cycling track that leads to their school. Naruko then explained that he played a sprinter in the bicycle racing club at his junior high school. The task of a sprinter is to pass through a flat track at a very high speed to bring his team to the frontest position. After that, Naruko invites Onoda to join the bicycle racing club at their high school together. Finally, after school, Onoda and Naruko register in the bicycle racing club at their school. After they enlist, Onoda and Naruko, along with the other newly joined members, are tested in a cycling competition within 60 kilometers by their seniors. Members who successfully pass the cycling test this time will automatically qualify to join the cycling club at their school. When the match was about to start, Onoda was the only student who used an ordinary bicycle, while the other members had used racing bicycles. When the match started, Onoda's bicycle suddenly had problems, and he could not participate in the cycling competition. Luckily, Kanzaki and her father arrived quickly and gave Onoda a racing bike. Kanzaki and her father believe in Onoda's potential and want to support him so that he can join the cycling club. Finally, Onoda was able to rejoin the cycling competition this time. Even though Onoda was far behind the other contestants, he managed to catch up with the other contestants. Onoda has been trained to pass the inclined path using an ordinary bicycle so that this match can be overcome by him easily. Onoda overtook Imizumi and Naruko, who were in the front row, and took Imizumi by surprise. But Imizumi refocused on increasing the speed of his bicycle so as not to be crucified by Onoda. At the same time, Naruko is left behind because going through the incline is his weakness. Naruko tries to support Onoda by providing a secret technique to increase the speed of his bicycle. Now the only contestants in the front row are Onoda and Imizumi. As they almost reached the finish line, Onoda used a secret technique that Naruko had taught him so that he could go fast and cross Imizumi's position. The match was quite fierce because the distance between Onoda and Imizumi was very thin. In the end, Onoda managed to win the match because he could reach the finish line earlier than Imizumi. All cycling club members are now starting to realize the potential and abilities of Onoda. The next day, Onoda came to school with a limp because his leg was still sore from yesterday's cycling match. Kanzaki, who saw this, came to Onoda to encourage him and praise his success. Meanwhile, Imizumi was called by his seniors to meet him at break time. The senior asked Imizumi to take his place to lead the school's bicycle racing team during the match because he was currently injured. On the other hand, Naruko is venting his frustration on a beach. Naruko promised himself to work even harder to win the game. The scene switches to the moment where the school bicycle racing team coach is selecting members who will be included in the inter-high school bicycle racing competition as the preliminary round of the national championship. When they decided which member to choose, they were still short of one contestant. A few weeks before the national championship preliminaries, the cycling coaches held pair training and group training in their school's cycling team. After evaluating the various training that has been carried out, the coach decided to include Onoda in this season's cycling competition. Elsewhere, Imizumi was training hard alone all night at the school's gymnasium. Imizumi still feels pressured by the defeat he suffered in the cycling match last season. In last season's match, Imizumi managed to get ahead of the other participants, but he lost when he reached the finish line. Luckily, Onoda, who saw Imizumi was down, motivated him by explaining why he joined the bicycle racing club. On the day of the cycling competition, as the preliminaries for the national championship have arrived, all cycling team members from Onoda High School are starting to get ready. Meanwhile, Onoda, who had never participated in a championship match, was very nervous. Moreover, their rival high school has an athlete known for his extraordinary speed named Fudo. But Onoda's coach explained to Onoda and the rest of the team that they worked as a team, so they had to believe in their team's abilities in this match. The cycling race finally started, and Onoda's team started pedaling steadily. Meanwhile, Kanzaki and her father would follow them on a different path by car. When the path they took was a straight and level road, Naruko had to advance to the front row to lead his team for 50 kilometers. Naruko increased his speed so that his team could overtake the other teams. After the 50-kilometer track has been successfully traversed, a team member who acts as a climber is tasked with leading the team through the climbs on their bicycle racetrack. After that, it was Onoda's turn to lead his team through the steepest incline. Even though their path was getting more difficult, Onoda managed to lead his team through the incline. After passing the last climb, now it was Imazumi's turn to lead his team to reach the finish line. But unfortunately, Onoda was left behind by his team because he fell off his bicycle. In addition, Fudo's team had time to interfere with Onoda's team in the middle of the lane. Fortunately, after Kanzaki cheered Onoda, he was able to get up and rejoin the match, following the rest of the team. Onoda pedaled his racing bike at full speed to catch up to his team's position. As Fudo sped away from his team, Imazumi almost got carried away and went even faster. Fortunately, Imazumi's senior held him back to wait for the rest of the team to arrive at the same position. Unexpectedly, Onoda managed to catch up with his team and even went faster than the other team participants. Now Onoda can pull Imazumi to pursue Fudo's position. Due to Imazumi and Onoda's speed, they could overtake Fudo's position. In the last lane, Imazumi and Fudo compete against each other. Imazumi pedaled his bicycle at full speed to not repeat his defeat last season. Finally, after a long match, Onoda and Imazumi's team managed to win the championship match. The entire team was amazed and proud of Onoda's hard work and persistence. Onoda was very happy because he managed to help his team to become champion in the cycling competition. The film closes with Kanzaki smiling while giving Onoda a thumbs up. The moral that can be learned from this movie is to believe that every hard work you do will one day pay off.